I am Kanajan Tipon, BS-in-1 student, and today I am going to discuss the Activity 2, Palpating the Surface Anatomy of the Pectoral Girdle and the Upper Limb. Before continuing on to the study of bones of the pelvic girdle, identify the following bone markings on the skin surface of the upper limb. First is the clavicle. Palpate the clavicle along its entire length from sternum to shoulder, where the clavicle joins the sternum. Identify the rigid sternoclavicular joint. So this is where the sternum is located, and this is the clavicle. This is the sternoclavicular joint is located. Next is the acromioclavicular joint. At the high point of the shoulder, find the junction point between the clavicle and the acromion of the scapular spine. So this is where the acromioclavicular joint is located. Next is the spine of the scapula. Extend your arm at the shoulder so that your scapula moves posteriorly. As you do this, the spine of your scapula will be seen as a wing-like protrusion on your dorsal thorax and can be easily palpated by your lab partner. So if I do this, the spine of my scapula will be seen as a wing-like protrusion on my dorsal thorax. Next is the olecranon process of the ulna. Work your elbow flexing and extending as you palpate its dorsal aspect to feel the olecranon process of the ulna moving in and out of the olecranon fossa on the backside of the humerus. So this is the olecranon process of the ulna, and this is the olecranon fossa. Next is the styloid process of the ulna. With the hand in the anatomical position, fill out this small projection on the medial aspect at the distal end of the ulna. So this is where the styloid process of the ulna is located. Next is the styloid process of the radius. Find this projection at the distal end of the radius lateral aspect. It is most easily located by moving the hand medially at the wrist. Once you have palpated the styloid process, move your fingers just medially onto the anterior wrist. Press firmly and then let up slightly on the pressure. You should be able to feel your pulse at this pressure point, which lies over the radial artery or the radial pulse. So this is where the styloid process of the radius is located. As I move medially at the wrist, once you have palpated the styloid process, move your fingers just medially onto the anterior wrist. Press firmly and then let up slightly onto the pressure. So I can feel my pulse here. Next is the metacarpophalangeal joints. Clench your fist and find the first set of the flex joint protrusions beyond the wrist. These are your metacarpophalangeal joints is located. So this is the metacarpophalangeal joints. So now let's move on to activity 3, palpating the surface anatomy of the pelvic girdle. First is the iliac crest. Iliac crest, rest your hands on your hips. They will be overlying the iliac crest. So the bony structure here is the iliac crest. Next is the anterior superior iliac spine. Trace the crest anteriorly to the anterior superior iliac spine. This bone marking is easily felt in almost everyone and clearly invisible through the skin of very slim people. So here, the bony structure here is the anterior superior iliac spine. So now let's move on to activity 5, palpating the surface anatomy of the lower limb. First is the greater trochanter of the femur. This is easier to locate in women than in men because of the wider female pelvis. Also, it is more likely to be covered by bulky muscles in men. Try to locate it on yourself. It is the most lateral point of the proximal femur and it typically lies 6 to 8 inches below the iliac crest. So here is the greater trochanter of the femur. Next is the patella and tibial tuberosity. Feel your kneecap or the patella and palpate the ligaments attached to its borders. Follow the inferior ligament to the tibial tuberosity where it attaches. So here is the kneecap or the patella, and this is where tibial tuberosity is located. Next is the medial malleolus. Feel the medial protrusion of your ankle, the medial malleolus of the distal tibia. This is the medial malleolus. Next is the lateral malleolus. Feel the bulge of the lateral aspect of your ankle, the lateral malleolus of the fibula. So here, it is the lateral malleolus. Next is the calcaneus. Attempt to follow the extent of your calcaneus or heel bone. So here is the calcaneus. That's all. I hope you learned something from my video.